My name is Wil Sylvince.
Tasha R. Williams.
My name is Mieka.
Michael Price.
Stona.
My name is Uakaera Hanavi.
Midanah Penda.
Tarrence Taylor.
Dana P. Hawkins.
Good old-fashioned racism.
From slavery.
Trauma response to slavery.
European teachings forced upon us thinking that white is right. The lighter you are, the more you have access to things, the more prettier you are, the more beautiful you are.
The division of people feeling like one person, one complexion is more superior to others.
I think, in my own opinion, when they would let the people of fair skin tones that were still considered black but of lighter skin tones and stuff like that in the house, and you were assumed that they had better treatment because they had fair skin and they were closer to this white skin tone.
So that sent the message to our people, to black people, that one shade of blackness was inferior to another.
It stems from that, and it's still going on today. You know, who's better, what color is better, you know. So yeah, it does stem from slavery.
That stigma has carried through for us, and going into Jim Crow laws, going into the early 20s, the 30s, into 50s, the civil rights movement, especially in Hollywood. When you were of a lighter complexion, you were considered to be more desirable, as opposed to someone of a darker complexion with more Afrocentric features, less desirable. And it's continued throughout until just recently, actually.
Colorism literally stems from, you know, the home all the way to your environment that you're in, you know, from what you see and how certain group of people are portrayed, even on TV and media, you know, especially nowadays, because TV and media are so influential on people's every single day, you know, life.
My complexion has never influenced how I behave around people of a different race. I've never had a reason to assimilate or change my behavior when I'm around someone who isn't black. I've never felt the need to.
No, absolutely not. I am who I am 365 days a year. What you see is what you get. Doesn't matter who you are.
I think that if I'm uncomfortable, then that can affect the way that I handle someone of a different race that I don't know. But I don't necessarily think that I behave differently around people of a different race.
I'll give an example. I did a film, a feature film, and it was an independent film, and I literally was the only black person on set. That out of the cast and crew, I was the only black person, and the way I acted with them is completely different than what I would act with my friends or my people or my family. It just is different. Certain things that I say, certain jokes that I say, culturally, I don't think, you know, white people or just of a different race, they just would not get.
I have to think about the way that I carry myself, because there's been so many negative perceptions about how black people have been for so many years that we're sitting here consistently trying to undo. People are even offended by my voice. They're like, oh my God, you don't even sound black. And those words will come out of black people's voices too. And it's like, my voice isn't shaped for it to sound any type of way. It's shaped for it to sound more like me.
My complexion used to influence the way I used to act around other people. I used to tip taxi cab drivers more money so they didn't think black people don't tip. I remember one time I was going home and I lived on this side of the street, but my house was further down the block, and I saw an old white lady walking towards me, and I saw the nervousness look in her face. So, across the street, past her, and I crossed back. Yeah, I know that probably looked crazier, but I went out my way to make white people feel safe. Not no more. I'm shoulder bumping that. I'm joking.
I remember one time in particular, I was me and my brother were in, I don't know if it was like Walmart or Wegmans or something like that, and we were playing around, like being wild and crazy, you know, and not like being too extreme, but to the point where my dad was like, y'all need to stop, you need to settle down, and when you go places, you have to remember that you're representing your race. And at that time when he said it, I was like, what do you mean? Like, no one's really thinking that. And in reality, it's so true. I think a lot more for Black people, or, you know, I think minorities in general, especially when you have so many negative stereotypes on your race.
I think I'm aware of being portrayed in a certain light constantly, especially as a Black woman. You know, we're portrayed as usually loud people who get mad and ghetto or ratchet very easily, which is such a false narrative, such a stereotype. So we're very aware of, you know, code switching, for example. So, you know, code switching can be, you know, you speak irregular vernacular amongst your friends. So with me, I'm from the South, so sometimes when I speak, I might have a little Southern accent come out, like, oh my God, I just saw Jared come down the street, he was looking real good today. You know, might have that kind of conversation with my friends versus, you know, me being in a corporate office setting with my boss. You know, so I code switch to maybe speak a little bit more articulate, a little slower, you know, have a different kind of vernacular and say, hi Sarah, how's your day today? Oh, it was great. Oh, great to hear. You know, so definitely happens within my community, especially.
Well, that's very important, because in life you have all races and colors, and each of those individuals play a lead role in their own individual lives. So to see that on TV and film, that's good.
People have great stories to tell. We need to see them, we need to hear them, we need to experience them. That's another way we can learn about each other.
And I just feel like it's very unrealistic to frame this image, whether it be body, whether it be race, whether it be who you love, and the stigma of how life is supposed to be told through the lens of one perception of one human being.
I want to see myself. I want to see my darker complected cousins. I want to see my lighter complected aunties being lawyers, being the love interest, being the romantic love interest. I have a love life. I enjoy romance. Why wouldn't I want to see someone who looks like me doing the same? I love my aunts. I love my cousins. I love my uncles and my brothers. Why wouldn't I want to see a dark chocolate man telling the story about how he loves a dark chocolate woman when I see that reflected in real life?
Portray the right narrative of people from different cultures and backgrounds on TV, you know, especially when they're on TV or movies that are depicting, you know, some real subjects, real topics that go on.
Because when you have a little kid who looks a certain way, who doesn't see themselves represented, sometimes they feel like their stories don't matter. And I think that it's a disservice. It's doing our society a disservice by not including people.
These roles are, you know, that are being portrayed, they come from something real. So in the real world, there are like black and white queens and kings and princesses, and you know, that's real. There's now black presidents, or you know, there was a previous black president. So it has to be that's only natural. You can't just have one race or one complexion as a leading role, because that's just not natural, and that's not real. It doesn't feel real.
So if you aren't including people of all skin tones, then you aren't telling the truth. You aren't being honest about the reality of life, you know? And I think that becomes a problem when we don't have that.
You know, I would be naive if I didn't say that I had an advantage because I have lighter skin. So me seeing someone of darker skin on TV, I can relate. Like, oh, this is who I am. I see this black woman on TV, I can relate. But it may not necessarily be true for someone of darker skin looking at someone of lighter skin on TV because of the systemic teachings and learnings that was brought onto her or him. I can't be that because they're lighter than I am. I'm taught to not love myself because I'm darker. So as a darker complected woman or man, looking at someone lighter, they can't relate because it's almost like we're not the same person, we're not the same people. So it's very important.
When I go to the movies, when I'm investing my time and my energy into television shows, I want to see people who look like me, because we all have a story and we all have the right to tell that story and to have it be authentic to who we are. And we can't do that if the people telling the stories don't look like us. It's super important. It is super, super important to be represented, because we matter, because our history matters, because our lives matter. And the only way for people to see that and appreciate it is if they see it through our lens, if they see it in our faces, if they see it through our emotions.
Honestly, for a long time, any Black woman lead character, for a while I did not see that on TV. But when I finally did see Viola Davis, Taraji P. Henson, Kerry Washington book those leading woman roles, as well as Issa Rae in Insecure, amazing. You know, just so authentically playing just the everyday Black woman experience, you know, being in a relationship or just, you know, living life and going through the phases of, like, you know, how it is to be a young adult in America.
I don't think that there is any role that I didn't think that I could play, because I know it's never an answer for me, if I'm being honest. I don't know if I can answer that question. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm of lighter skin. I'm not sure if I can answer that. But I am glad to be seeing Black people, Black women in roles that aren't the help, that aren't slaves, that aren't the promiscuous woman, the prostitute, I'm trying to come up in the world, so let me sleep with my white boss. I'm glad to not be seeing those roles, and that we're actually holding our own and creating a different narrative for the actors and actresses before us. But currently, I don't think that there isn't a role that I never saw myself in, because one, as a woman, I'm just proud of who I am. Your one no is another person's yes.
I don't have a particular role. One show that I wanted to be in was Dear Evan Hansen, and you know, I never saw a Black person really in there, but you know, they ended up having Black people. But as Evan Hansen himself, I realized when I saw that the Black young man who played Evan Hansen, he, you know, played the role. So I was like, oh, well, you know, it's possible.
It wasn't until, for me, the very first time I saw myself and the possibilities on screen, as I'm sure is the same with anyone in my generation, Claire Huxtable. Felicia Rashad opened my eyes to seeing people in roles that aren't your stereotypical Black roles, who look like me, who could be lawyers, doctors, the business executives. Roles like that are what inspired me to want to do what I do. Debbie Allen as a dance teacher. That's what inspired me. Lydia Grant inspired me to decide to reach for my dreams and follow my passions.
Since middle school, I've always been obsessed with British culture and British period pieces. And before I even know, I think before I even started to see stuff, I was just doing British accents. It was just like my thing. And then in college, for the first time, I don't know why it makes me emotional, but I saw Belle. It's by Amma Santi, this movie, and I've seen a Black girl who is the lead in this period piece, and she's not playing a slave. And I saw myself represented because I felt like I've always been the only Black girl in, like, growing up. You know what I mean? In a lot of the spaces I was in, education or extracurricular activities, I was the only Black girl. So to see this girl on camera, like, navigating and finding herself, I felt seen. And I felt like, oh my God, I can play in period pieces, you know what I mean? And so thank you for making that movie.
One of the biggest reasons why I've ever really got into acting was because, I mean, ding, ding. I saw Kerry Washington playing Olivia Pope on Scandal, and it was the first time I ever saw a Black woman on lead television, which I've always dreamed of being in such a big section of, and look like me. Not, I mean, fully. There's more work to do in that direction anyways. I'm getting tongue-tied. But it was the first time ever I saw a woman that looked like me on the big screen, and then soon after I saw Viola Davis as well, and it just, I remember it just clicking in my head from a young girl that it's like, I'm not doing this for anything. I'm not doing this and it's not counting for just nothing anymore. It's like there are steps and there are strides being made, and I will continue making those strides. And now that little girl that had been sparked with some joy and some luck and some hope has now fruitioned her dream into being more of a realer path. And that's what happened to me. And I hope that can happen for many other generations to come and to prescribe from here on out. I mean, it happened to me. So when I saw someone on screen that looked just like me, I was inspired.
I have wanted to be lighter.
I have for a long time wanted to be lighter.
Personally, I have not.
No.
No.
I wanted to be light skinned.
I most certainly wanted to be darker.
I definitely struggled with the idea of the beauty standard of wanting to be, you know, a lighter skin tone.
I've never wanted to be lighter or darker, but I do notice the privileges, and I do notice the differences in how people are treated, or Black people in general, how we're treated if we're lighter or darker.
Growing up, because I always thought my skin was too dark. I wasn't confident. I was very insecure in my own skin. But as I grew to realize, you know, just hearing people, oh, my melanin is popping, oh, my melanin is beautiful. I had to take that in, because I'm like, my skin color is beautiful. It's not only light skin or medium skin. Like, I love my skin complexion. It was hard growing up, but I grew to love my skin complexion. I did. And sometimes I didn't want to go outside because I thought, you know, getting a tan, I didn't want to get any darker. Or, you know, just being dark wasn't it. It had a negative connotation to it. And being younger, I didn't really understand it. But as I grew to realize, like, being dark is not negative. Being dark is beautiful.
Being in middle school, and everyone always wanted to be something else other than Black. They wanted to be like, oh, I'm Italian. Oh, my last name's this. Oh, I'm Spanish. And it's like, I am just Black. And there's nothing wrong with just being Black. There's so much beauty in that. And, you know, finding every excuse in the book to be mixed with something that's white is not, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but we shouldn't feel shame for what we are based upon our history. It's like our history is something we should be proud of. My skin is something I'm very proud of, and it took me a long way to sit in that and to understand that. So I feel like colorism, in my own personal experience, I really felt a lot of that colorism insecurity located a lot in my youth.
I remember being on the playground at elementary school being called white, and that kind of took my soul, even being at a young age, because I knew that I was a Black girl. I knew that I came from a Black family and a Black household. So being called white really did not sit well with me, because I knew who I was, and because I was of lighter skin, that made me white. So I wanted, for the longest time, I wanted to be my father's complexion. He's a beautiful brown complexion. Even now, especially now that it's getting warmer, you'll find me out on the beach tanning to get that little golden bronze color.
I remember Michael Jackson was like bleaching his skin, and at the time, I think this is even elementary school, I didn't realize that that when they said he was bleaching, that it wasn't Clorox bleach. And so I remember one time in particular that I wanted to bleach my skin and I wanted to be lighter. And I am a fair complexion, and so I just wanted to be lighter. And a lot of it was to fit in. A lot of it was because I just didn't like myself at that time. And so I was in a really hard place, and I remember pouring bleach on my skin in a bathtub, and just and then I had a thought that this isn't it, And it's scary to think about, because it's at that time I really didn't like myself. And I think a lot of it does stem from, your family sometimes saying that don't go out in the sun too much, you don't want to get too dark, or just not liking yourself. And I think a lot of this colorism stuff does come from people not feeling completely comfortable in their own skin.
I think I was in the 7th grade, and I got a hold of skin bleaching cream, and I applied it all over my face, thinking I was going to wake up looking like Chico the Barge or I'll Be Sure the next morning. It didn't happen. Thank God. My mother would not have recognized me. She's like, "Where is my boy?" Oh, she don't talk like that.
Is to not continue to whitewash our history as if it doesn't exist. It's important for us to face the fact that this is an issue.
We need to re-educate ourselves. We need to relearn the things or the lies that we were taught. We need to have more talks, more discussions, more group conversations about this.
Raise awareness. And I think that those are some of the ways that we can heal, by people using their voices for good, by helping people feel less alone, and most importantly, I think by loving yourself more. I think if people valued themselves more, then we won't always let what other people say take up our space and make us feel less than.
Focusing on bettering yourself and not letting that negativity impact you, really letting it roll off your shoulder.
I think we get healed by communication, education, and just people opening up their hearts, ready to give out love.
That's how we heal. We have to encourage each other, whether you're light or dark, we're still black. We are still black. You put in your pants the same way I do. You put in your shirt the same way I do. You brush your teeth, hopefully.
Embracing your skin, embracing who you are as a person, as a people. And once we do that and stand in our power and stand in our truth and stand in who we are as a people, then I think we'll be able to heal truly and naturally and fully into who we are as Black people.
I think colorism is one of those things that you have to sit there and undo and embed, and I really do think it has a lot to do with the work that we have to do, but also a lot of the work that our allies have to do. And
the biggest thing is, even though we might see it coming from, sometimes casting directors or, people who might be in positions of power, where it can be hard, not to let that impact us. Sometimes we really have got to take a note out of Issa Rae's book. She said, if you want to sit at the table, sometimes you just got to build your own table.
And then we have to get the people who are in the room who make the decisions, they have to start to look like us. The people who are writing the stories have to start to look like us. the people telling the stories, have to start to look like us. The only way to fix the problem is to accept that it exists, acknowledge that it exists, and then put the people in place who look like us to help us remedy it.
We have a responsibility to show up as ourselves in our own full personality so that, we are showing up for our ancestors who didn't have a choice to express themselves and to really celebrate all of who they were fully because of the circumstances.
We can.
We can.
We can.
We can.
We can and we will heal.
We will heal.
We will heal.
We will heal.
We can and will heal.
We will heal.
We can and will heal.
My name is Tara Nicole Stona, and I love the skin that I'm in.
My name is Mieka, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Wil Sylvince, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Midanah Penda, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Michael Price, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Uakaera Hanavi, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Tasha R. Williams, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Tarrence Taylor, and I love the color of my skin.
My name is Dana P. Hawkins, and I'm in love with my black skin.